evening now. Thanks for being with us. I'm JR.
And I'm Darcy Strickland. We are starting with breaking news out of Lexington County.
That's right. A gas line break causing traffic to come to a standstill on the interstate. It's being detoured in Lexington. This all happening shortly after 2 today. Highway 1 and I-20 is where that gas break happened. The interstate is closed from exit 61 to exit 55, affecting 3 main highways tonight: Highway 6, Highway 1, Highway 378. Traffic being detoured the best they can right now. And as far as those mandatory evacuations go, Darcy, this is not everybody living along the 6 miles of interstate that's affected. This is just mandatory evacuations for the homes and the businesses that are in the immediate area where this happened this afternoon.
Dominion Energy says a third-party contractor is the reason why we're dealing with these issues. We have a crew live on the scene. News 19's Peyton Lewis joins us now live. She is at I-20 and Highway 1 with more on this breaking news situation. Peyton.
Thank you, Darcy. So tonight we're out here, and right now it seems like traffic is pretty calm in the Augusta Road area, but there are, as you can see, police officers out directing people away from the area that are going down Augusta Road. You can come like you're leaving Augusta Road, but you cannot come to Augusta Road. We're by the Murphy's gas station right now, where lots of troopers and law enforcement are filling up their tanks so they can help direct this traffic out here. They're asking people to use Cedar Road, Cedar Crest Road, and Dooley Road as evacuation routes for the gas leak today. They only evacuated about 3 of the homes. They pointed them out around here. They're saying the apartment complexes nearby are safe. Local businesses like Econobug nearby, and there's also Four Oaks Farm here that are also safe as of right now. They're just asking people to be packing their patience if they're going to be out on the road today, and to make sure that they turn around if a police officer asks them to. So they're saying that this gas leak will be going on for about 6 hours as crews are working to try to fix what is happening. They're asking people just to avoid the area if possible. Reporting live in Lexington, Peyton Lewis, News 19 WLTX.
All right, Peyton, thank you so much. We want to take a look at some live traffic cameras if we can, just to give you an idea of what it looks like out there on the interstate right now. Traffic is backed up for miles right now. I understand we're having some issues bringing those up at the moment. But Corey Smith is following the traffic situation for us right now.
We're going to check in with Corey, who's going to tell us a little bit more about how this traffic tie-up is impacting more than just folks who are heading on I-20.
And guys, some good news, I think, showing up on the maps here. We're starting to see those backups not extended as far out as they were. Still a lot of traffic, so I don't want to play that down, but you can see some of those green showing up on I-20 north of Columbia. That was red just 30 minutes ago. Stop and go traffic. That's more towards the I-26, I-20 interchange. We're still starting to see those slowdowns. That, of course, continues as you get closer to where the interstate itself is shut down. Peyton down at Augusta Road, you can see, like you said, light traffic along Augusta Road right there. But once you get in and around Lexington, Sunset Boulevard, still stop and go traffic from I-20 all the way into Lexington proper. And in South Carolina 6, still a lot of heavy traffic out there. And we're still seeing some slowdowns on eastbound I-20 as you get towards Red Bank. That's where the interstate is closed in that direction. So at least a little bit of improvement from what we've seen about 30 to 45 minutes ago. But as you can see right next to me, still a lot of traffic out there, guys.
Yeah, a lot of people stuck right now in bumper-to-bumper traffic on I-20. Again, this is affecting 6 miles of the interstate from exit 61 all the way to exit 55.
Lexington police tweeting out just a couple of minutes ago, if you live or work on Augusta Road in the town of Lexington, local traffic can access neighborhoods and businesses up to the Wood Creek neighborhood. So if you're familiar with that area, that will make sense to you. So access to neighborhoods and businesses up to the Wood Creek neighborhood. These closures are likely to continue for several more hours, and they're saying thank you in advance for your patience. But you can see for yourself as that law enforcement vehicle comes off to the shoulder of the road and starts heading the opposite direction of traffic. There are going to be people there, JR, who are sitting in that traffic for a number of reasons. They've run out of gas. They've had to turn their vehicle off because maybe they're low on fuel, and it is incredibly hot today. Corey hasn't talked about our forecast yet, but this has been one of the hottest days that we've had this year.
That's right. The heat index outside pushing 110 or higher in some areas. So again, if you're stuck in your vehicle, some AC units in cars don't work very well when you're sitting idle. So yeah, we feel for you right now. And this is going to be going on, we're being told, until probably 8 or 9 o'clock tonight as they work to resolve the issue.
Again, this is a live picture. This is another time for us to remind you at home, if you're sitting in the comfort of your home and watching this story, feeling sorry for the people who are stuck in traffic, take a moment, grab your cell phone, download the News 19 mobile app. The folks who are sitting in traffic who have this app may be watching our newscast right now, and we're here to tell you we're going to keep you up to date on what's happening. The folks who have the app and knew about this before they got in the traffic have found an alternate route home or have found something else to do. So again, make sure you're never disconnected from what's going on in your community by having the mobile app.
And we're continuing to follow this for you. We have more details for you on our website right now, WLTX.com. Or again, as Darcy just mentioned, you can download the free News 19 mobile app.
Another big story making headlines not only across the country but here in the Midlands today. A House committee considering more restrictive abortion legislation heard public testimony.
News 19's Becky Buds at the State House tonight with those details.
Lawmakers heard hours of testimony from more than 100 speakers as they consider completely banning abortion in South Carolina.
We lost 3 other children before they were born. All 3 died in my wife's body and required medical professionals to operate to save my wife's life. That procedure is not a flippant decision. It's a life-saving procedure that some legislation would ban.
My birth mother was shocked and possibly disappointed when I took my first breath because I survived an abortion by induction.
One by one, speakers shared their personal stories in front of lawmakers during the first public testimony on abortion legislation. The 12-member House committee is responsible for crafting abortion legislation in South Carolina following the Supreme Court's ruling last month to overturn Roe v. Wade. Outside of the packed room, demonstrators from both sides chanted both for and against abortion access. Inside, dozens of speakers gave testimony on whether the state should restrict abortion access further than it does already. South Carolina currently bans abortions when a heartbeat is detected or at about 6 weeks.
Please advocate for the unborn, as they don't have a voice to advocate for themselves.
Commitment to life is quality as well as quantity. That's your challenge.
One of which was attorney Courtney Turner Milbank, who recommends banning all abortions except to save the life of the mother.
We recommend that you prohibit trafficking and abortion-inducing drugs, and that you prohibit unlawful abortion trafficking of a minor.
This committee will meet again before the bill heads to the House floor for debate. The Senate, however, has yet to schedule public testimony on their bill, which would completely ban abortions. Reporting out the State House, Becky Buds, News 19 WLTX.
Continuing to follow this breaking news situation out of Lexington County, joining us by phone now, Highway Patrol Trooper David Jones. Trooper Jones, thank you for taking a couple of minutes to talk to us about what is happening on I-20.
Yeah, so for the motorists here in Lexington and the Midlands, they're going to expect to see a major backup, especially going into the town of Lexington. So a gas leak from earlier today has caused the interstate to shut down, and that traffic's being diverted off on US 378 into the town of Lexington, as well as traffic heading westbound from the Aiken, Batesburg area. They're getting off at South Carolina Highway 6. So as you can imagine, the town of Lexington is heavily congested at this point. If you're trying to make your way home, try and find some of those back roads that you may be familiar with. Just know that the routes that your GPS may take you may cause you to be in some heavily congested areas.
What is your advice to drivers who are sitting in that standstill traffic? I mean, folks who may be riding on E right now, what happens to them?
You know, if we're out with every resource available to help with traffic direction, this incident is something that affects not only the Highway Patrol with Interstate, but also the town of Lexington with their roadways, neighboring communities. So if you're stuck in traffic and you find yourself on E, call local authorities and we'll have somebody come out and help you out. But just know that we all have to be in this together. We're trying our best to get Interstate back open, but we can't do that until the fire service and Dominion Energy gets this gas leak under control and finds out that it's safe for the public to return to not only the interstate, but to some of the residents around that area.
Trooper Jones, if you had to give a window on how much longer the interstate is going to be like this, how much longer before traffic starts flowing smoothly again, what would you say?
You know, we're talking with some other officials that's been out on the scene. They're looking at several hours to get the gas leak repaired and deem it safe for traffic to return. So if you're going to be heading towards Lexington, know that at least for the next 3 or 4 hours, you could expect to see that there's going to be heavy congestion, a large police presence directing traffic. And if you can avoid the area at all costs, do that, because I can tell you every trooper, every sheriff's deputy, every police officer with town of Lexington is out in full force trying to help with this traffic congestion, because it couldn't have come at a worse time with the drive at 5. So we understand that. We're working with our partners at Dominion Energy to try and get this situation under control so we can get interstate open back as quickly as possible.
Trooper David Jones, thank you so much for your service and for calling in.
Thanks.
Well, another incident today, a crash on I-77 from early this morning that left one person dead. We'll get to that in a moment, but right now we want to check in with Corey Smith to find out what's going on weather-wise.
A crash on I-77 from early this morning was fatal. One person died. A truck carrying a hazardous chemical called ammonia sulfate crashed and then caught fire. That crash caused a stretch of I-77 between the towns of Blythewood and Ridgeway to be shut down for more than 4 hours. The concerns over possible health hazards led to a shelter-in-place order for Ridgeway residents. That order was lifted just before noon.
I had to leave earlier and had to go back roads, and I noticed even as I was coming back roads, I noticed that there were people and container truck going through the country, and they never have to do that. And sometimes on these country roads, it's not very safe.
Well, the details of the crash, including what led up to it, still haven't been released. Of course, we're going to continue to follow this story for you, not only on air, but also online at WLTX.com.
And also tonight we're looking at how the chemical ammonia sulfate impacts the local community and environment. That includes our water source, food source, and wooded areas. Rachel Ripp tells us more.
£1,000 ammonium sulfate spill on a state highway is certainly going to leave a mark. Not just on the highway, but possibly also to the environment, one of which is to the several trees that were burned next to I-77. Local landscaper and plant expert Zach McClendon says his biggest concern is for the soil.
It's going to reduce that plant's ability to absorb water because of the high salt concentration around its roots. But I think that, over the next year or so, it's going to reduce the pH of the soil in a larger radius from the spill.
As far as the long-term effects, Zach says these trees probably won't rebound. They'll likely die. When it comes to the water source underneath this chemical spill, the water director for this area tells me it's not of concern because the solid ammonium sulfate didn't seep in deep enough to break through the pipes.
Not only is it around 20 foot deep, it is in a steel casing pipe, and then the water line itself is ductile iron pipe. So it's almost zero chance that there could be any type of contamination in the water system.
Well, then comes our food source, livestock local farmers raise. Doco Farm co-owner Amanda Jones in Blythewood says if her rare heritage breed animals could be impacted by a chemical spill, which they were not in this case, she would take steps to keep them safe.
What we could do is move any livestock in an affected area to the far side of our local farm and possibly move the most vulnerable, such as young poultry or turkeys, into a farm building.
The repercussions of chemicals can be dangerous, but like anything, it can be cleaned up and dealt with. Reporting in Fairfield County, Rachel Ripp, News 19 WLTX.
Well, in other news, if you've taken a trip by the Columbia Metropolitan Airport, you may have noticed a collection of fighter jets. The airport has turned into a temporary housing spot for F-16s. McIntyre has their jets there at the airport while a new runway is being constructed in Eastover. The work is expected to be finished in November. The Guard says they've had strong relationships with both the airport and FedEx, who also uses the runway.
Everyone has been great. Their patriotism, their support, they've been willing to bend over backwards. I think it's been a win-win, but I know that there have been sacrifices made by both of them to enable us to operate out of here.
Well, if you'd like to catch the jets during their takeoff, Columbia Metropolitan Airport says you're welcome to view them from the cell phone waiting parking lot.
All right, stay with us. Storms beginning to pop up in our coverage area. Corey's got those details in a moment.
Well, we're going to wrap up our newscast with another look at our breaking news situation. Traffic is a nightmare. It is at a complete standstill on I-20 as it is being detoured through Lexington because of a gas leak.
This is affecting 6 miles of the interstate from exit 61 all the way to exit 55. 3 major highways, Highway 378, Highway 1, Highway 6. This gas break happening about 2 o'clock or so this afternoon near the intersection of Highway 1 and I-20. And we're being told it could be several more hours now, 9 or 10 o'clock tonight, before that issue is resolved. There have been some mandatory evacuations, but not many people who live in the general vicinity of where all this happened.
4 businesses and 1 home has been evacuated.